welcome to another episode of Between the Coast. I'm your host, Fernando, with our stars, Cassius and Jared. Today, we have a very fun episode. We are going to continue with NBA playoffs, followed by the NFL schedule. So we're going to jump right back into the Spurs and Timberwolves, who played yesterday. Yeah, let's get right into it, boys. So we'll start with Jared. What are your kind of thoughts about yesterday's game?
I mean, it really wasn't even a game for real. For real, they got destroyed. But the Timberwolves were outmanned, overmatched. They had nobody to match up with Wemby. Like Gobert was, he was getting cooked. It did not matter. I think the loss of DiVincenzo played into like the Wolves' demise, and it really showed like Randall. You can't win with Randall being your second option, and Gobert has no offensive bag, so Ant's by himself. So yeah, like they're gonna have to make some moves if they want to keep making deep playoff runs.
Yeah, I mean, I I said it was gonna have to be hero ball from Ant. I mean, and he's coming off that injury. They gave him a new nickname, Wolverine, because he keeps coming back from injuries. They just don't expect him to come back from. And at the end of the day, it was one of those where you're watching it just get further and further away yesterday, and you're like, all right, Ant, what's going on? Who's gonna help you? Who's gonna be your number two? And they even tried changing up the defensive scheme and going small when Wemby wasn't on the court and putting Gobert on Luke Cornett, and it works for a time. But the thing is how are you going to play small with, I think, the best small lineup in in the NBA between their three guards? Um, he touched on the Timberwolves, so I don't really have to touch more. But like for the Spurs, they have three guards, and this is not including Vassell. Castle is 6'6". He's averaging 18, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds in the playoffs. Fox is 6'3", averaging 18, 5, and 1.2 steals, 5 assists. And Harper, 6'5", rookie, 13.6 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 1.3 steals. Like, you guys, you can move them around anywhere. And as we've seen, like, they're all pretty much have a very same prototypical style of play that they can shoot the ball. They can drive it. Honestly, Dylan Harper is impressing me. Like, he should have been a top candidate for Rookie of the Year, too, because this man I watched do a double behind the back into a hezzy, drive down the lane, and dunked in the middle on it. I was like, what am I watching from this kid? Like, Jesus. And of course, like, that's not even including when Wemby's on the court. Like, you have the perfect tower to throw to every single time. So yeah, it's going to be something interesting. As of right now in the playoffs, the Spurs are third in points, rebounds, field goals made, and field goal percentage. And they're ranking fifth in steals and assists. And of course, because they have Wemby, the alien, they are first in blocks. So it's going to be a tough matchup for of course, the Thunder now. And yeah, I'm very excited for this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I found interesting was just the Spurs starting five. They all had double-digit points. You know, they combined for 101 points. And if you exclude Devin Vassell, who scored 11, their other top four starters, they shot 30 for 47, 64% from the field, which is wild. Like, how are you supposed to compete with a team like that, you know? So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Like you said, the Spurs versus OKC. I think a lot of people have been excited to see kind of those two teams in the Western Conference Finals. But yeah,
it's gonna
we'll
be
see.
awesome. It's gonna be awesome. I was talking to Jared a little about this, but it's bringing this matchup is going to bring back old school field basketball, old school rivals, two players who actually hate each other and refuse to shake each other's hand. And I'm talking about Chet and Wemby, who have been playing against each other since the U19 World Cup game. And guess what? It's America versus France, baby. World War III is coming. It's coming, and Wemby is coming for revenge, which the Spurs have impressed me just because I thought, only two or three players have playoff experience, and that's Harrison Barnes, who doesn't see any time, and Darian Fox. Other than that, like, I didn't know how this team would excel, but I think the Spurs organization as a whole, having Greg Popovich at every game, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, you have all of the goats, Tony Parker, and all of these players and coaches are calling Wemby and leading this man down the path of success. It shows what a true organization can be when putting that. And I'm really excited for this, and I'm really excited to see who's going to guard Shea, because it's either going to have to be Castle or Vassell, but I think Castle will have to be the lockdown. And if he can do it, and Jalen Williams doesn't come back for the Thunder, we might have a Spurs NBA champion, NBA Finals. But they make it to there, they might win it all. So,
I mean, we'll see what happens. That's a long series. That's gonna go 7. That's written. It's gonna go 7. I mean, but OKC, if they want to get out of the Western Conference Finals, they're gonna need J Dub, and it's just that simple. Um, I think Shea can win you 2 of those games, but like you said, Castle, Wemby, Fox, that's a lot of firepower coming at you, and that's a big lineup. And like I said, Wemby's better than Chet. Let's just call it what it is. So that that's gonna be a problem. And but on the other side of it, got the free throw merchant over there. So Castle's gonna have to be careful.
yeah, I think though that's why the Spurs are almost the perfect matchup for them. Like we talked about before, the Spurs are 4, and don't want to include it, but the NBA Cup, they did face them for the championship, or for the Western side, but they were 4-1 this season against the Thunder. Like, the Spurs had their number, and to your point, like, I feel like that's the issue. Like, what strategy do you come up against Wemby? The best strategy they've had is playing rough on him, which, as you see, he might throw an elbow the next game, but then he's going to drop 40 and 20 the game after. Or it's like you try and play small ball and you try to be quick. Again, you can't be quick. This kid's only, 22, 23?
I think he's 22.
He's just as fast as your point guards and as long. Like, I saw him deflect a pass from AO yesterday in the game. That AO looked like he had a clear shot to the corner 3-man, and Wemby somehow blocked, and the ball went 10 feet in the air. And I'm like, when did he put his arm out? Like, the defensive prowess and the actual athletic ability of the kid is just unmatched to anything we've probably ever seen. And that, like, even if Shaq is impressed with a center, there's going to be something going on with this kid. So
No, and I mean, that's a series where, like you said, hate to include it, you had the NBA Cup, they had their number, so it's like one of those things where we'll have to wait and see. Excuse me. OKC is not at full strength though, so that's what's going to make it interesting. And like I said, I think J Dub gonna have to come back if they want to get out the West. And like, I you bring up all these points, it's like you can't even rebuttal them, Cass, because it's legit. Like Castle's long, you got Fox, you got Wemby. They got depth off the bench. It does not matter. Like, and I just feel like OKC, they're a little bit smaller, and they're missing a huge piece of their championship team. He ain't played all year.
and he might be back. They said they had him as questionable for those last games with the Lakers, so he might. I mean, that's the thing, is like, this went game 6. They finished the Lakers in 4. They've had all this time to recover. But again, Jalen's been dealing with this injury all season. Like,
All
I think
year,
he only played 26 games this year.
if
I don't,
that.
but yeah. So, like, at the end of the day, it's hard to say that Shea and Chet can get it done. And, like, of course they have some great pieces, like the emergence we've seen of what's his name, AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell has been definitely the step in, averaging almost 18 points in the playoffs. Like, he's definitely been someone that they can depend on. I think he's also averaging 5 assists as well. And then, of course, you brought in Jared McCain, but as long as he's not shooting TikToks in the locker room during the playoff time, but you like that was, I thought, a great trade. Like, honestly, that's, I think, one of the issues with the Sixers is that they got rid of McCain and got rid of that point guard depth to help get generational points from the bench. Because that was the issue, is you're depending on Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Maxey, but not to
which is why Daryl Morey got fired. But that's a conversation for another day.
Finishing up the Spurs talk, the NBA announced that they're gonna announce the MVP on Sunday. Your three candidates, you got SGA, Wemby, and the Joker. Who do you guys think is gonna get it? Who do you think is gonna win?
It's gonna be Shy, unfortunately.
Did you call him shy?
Yeah, because he's shy.
He's not shy of the free throw line, that's for sure.
No, Shea is gonna win it. I mean, he, in my opinion, I don't think the three should be the three. I think Wemby only jumped in because of the kind of the communication he brought and the attention he brought it to himself. Because there were beginning of the season, like, I mean, I thought Wemby was doing great, but he wasn't, spectacular. The end of the season, that push, yes, I that's when we were like, okay, Wemby definitely has consideration. I think, in my opinion, and of course, yes, I'm a Lakers fan, but I think Luka, Cade, and Joker should have been the top three. Those should have been my top three MVP candidates. The way Cade really led the entire season, and the only reason he had to get stopped was because of a crazy injury that set him back. Like, at the end of the day, Cade was what literally led Detroit to being the number one team in the East. And, like, yes, you could say Duran did his part when Cade was out. Like, he led that charge, but Cade was the only reason that Detroit looked as prominent defensively. I mean, averaging almost 10 assists a game. Like, he, to Jared's point, we were talking about this a little yesterday, like, he's a 6'5" point guard.
6'6".
6'6". And he passes the ball like he's 6'1". Like, I love his vision. Like, and then Luka, I mean, no one thought the Lakers would be where we kind of were this season, and unfortunately, like, his injury is what killed that team. Of course, Reeves went down pretty much around the same time, but yeah, like if it wasn't for Luka, like, that team would probably have been in the play-in, fighting to get into a spot, and averaging over 30 points a game. Like, I think he got slightly better defensively this year. I'm not saying he's anything better. He's still a defensive liability, unfortunately, like, which is why we need to bring some defensive players for him next year. But yeah, I and then Joker, how can he not be the MVP every year? They just don't want to give it to him. And I understand. He's not. They wanted him to be the face of the NBA. He doesn't want it. He just wants to be with his horses. I get it. I get it.
So I'm just going to agree with you. I think Shea definitely is going to win it. He's coming off a championship. He's still in it with a chance to repeat. He's still averaging what? Isn't he averaging like 30 still?
Believes that I believe Luka was the only one to average 30 this year. He averaged 31. Yeah, he averaged 31.
So yeah, he's still averaging 30. His team was good. The second best team.
Luka averaged 33.5 just for that.
He previous MVP still has his team to repeat. I mean, they kind of deem him unguardable, but he gets a favorable whistle.
I agreed. And real quick, sorry to interrupt you, but like looking at the numbers, Shea's numbers are 31 points, 4 rebounds, 6.6 assists, 1.4 steals. Luka's numbers, so tell me how this makes sense. 33.5 a game, 7.7 rebounds. Shai only had 4. 8.3 assists, 1.6 steals. That's Luka's numbers. He's averaging literally better almost in every category than Shai. And yet, so again, I don't think Shai deserved it this year. I think they're just putting him because he won it last year. And yes, OKC looked the best this year again, but it's like there are multiple players who did more for their team, in my opinion, as well as had better numbers than Shy this year. So
I mean, and I agree with that. I think Joker's not going to get it solely because of when he hurt his knee, he came back and wasn't as efficient, and people they take that into consideration. I think who else was in Wemby, honestly, Wemby and Cade and Luca, that should have been who it was between. I mean, Wemby had the Spurs. Look at how he has the Spurs cooking, and he's bringing like Wemby and Cade are bringing this competitive edge back to basketball that we haven't seen in years. Like they
blue
don't want
ball.
to be friends. They don't. They just want to hoop. It's not. They don't foul bait. They just want to hoop, and that's why people love Cade Cunningham. That's why people love Wemby. And then Wemby got some dogs with him who are just like him. Castle, Fox. They just want to hoop. Look at the supporting cast Cade got. Same thing. They just want to hoop. During Asar, like, and then you got OKC. They're gonna foul bait you, amongst other things. Similar to the Knicks, might I add. But no offense, Nando. But but it's like one of those things, man. Like I definitely think Shea's gonna win it. I definitely think it should be between Cade and Wemby. But Shea's gonna win MVP. And then, like Cassia said, Joker's in it every year. But I think his injury and then like his efficiency going from here to like here is why like he's not gonna win it this year.
I thought it was interesting that this is eighth consecutive season in which a player who was not born or who was born outside the U.S. is going to win MVP. So I thought that was very interesting. It actually made me sad because I feel like we got to step it up.
I mean, that's where Cade comes in. I mean,
Yeah.
Cade is our American bred. Like, of course,
He's
I
gonna
said
be the
Luka.
reason we win gold.
I mean, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, I said Luka. Like, Luka's not, American born. Like, if you look, I think the top 5, only Cade was the only American.
Yep.
And then Jaylen Brown was probably the next closest second American.
At this time, we are going to transition to our other NBA playoff game, the Pistons and Cavs, going to Game 7, which this is both teams' second Game 7 for this season. The Pistons, they won by 21 points, 115-94. It was their fourth consecutive win this postseason with their backs against the wall. Last time that was seen was the Celtics, the 2023 Celtics. Who lost to the Heat in Game 7 to the Eastern Conference Finals. But, yeah, let's get into it. So we'll start with Cassius. What did you think about the game, Pistons versus Cavs?
Game 6 was definitely strong for the Pistons after that Game 5 loss. I know that Game 5 loss was a heartbreaker for them, and that call at the end was atrocious.
Wrong adjective. Egregious.
It's both atrocious, egregious, just plain wrong. Like Asur got tripped. Like there's no if buts about it. But I do believe the Pistons will close this out. I do think that the strengths of the Pistons showed last night. I think that they had 43 points from their bench. Which was the most in this current playoff run by a team. And they actually, I think I brought this up before, like they are average. I think they have over 40 more points than the Cavs bench in this series. So the bench has been such a bright spot for the Pistons. And the only thing that worries me is Duren. Duren, of course, looks like he sprained his ankle pretty bad yesterday. He stayed in the game, but you could tell he wasn't moving great. Even on those plays where he was under the rim, like he had to kind of think about those adjustments of where he wanted to move just to kind of not put more pressure on it. And then they wrapped his ankle like a mummy. But yeah, like I think that they can definitely take care of business because they don't rely as much on the starters. But yes, you'll need everybody. You'll need the full team. Duncan needs to be shooting. Like he shouldn't have 2 shots. Cade didn't do as much because he didn't need to, but this is the game where Cade closes it out. Like Cade, get 40, tell your team, step aside, get on my back. Let's close it out for us. So
here's the thing. Cade's gonna go nuclear. That's number one. I think he's going to play through it regardless, and I think he's going to. He was hustling, like which tells me like a lot of it's effort, and there just wasn't a lot of effort from him in those previous games, like from game three till game five. Like three, four, and five were just bad. So, but I think, like I said, Cade's gonna go nuclear. Duran's gonna play and do his thing. I agree with Cassius. I think in Game Five, the Pistons missed Duncan Robinson. He was out with that sore back, and he gave you 14 off the bench. Off the bench. Um, the other reason why I think they're gonna close it out is Asar is gonna be on Mitchell, like that. That is gonna be Asar versus Mitchell, and then last but not least, I think Harden's gonna fold. I
Mm.
really think Harden's gonna fold. I
I
think
mean,
he
they
has
both
proved a lot of people wrong in this series, though. He's been consistent, but we're talking Game Seven. How many? He Harden's getting like 30. He's had like 30 the
bro, he
past
had
3 games.
30 in like the last two, but he like are we forgetting all the turnovers he had in the first 3 to 4 games?
The first two, Harden's been
Three
playing
games.
pretty
It was the
well
first 3 games, yeah.
since game three. He's been playing pretty well since game three, but I don't think I think he will. I think he'll fold. Like I think historically in game sevens, like Harden has come up short, and I think Mitchell is going to try to go nuclear. But I think honestly, I think Mitchell is bothered by Asar's length, um, which has cost him to not score at the high volume that he's used to scoring. So but ultimately, I think the Pistons get it done. I think as long as Cade goes for,
He needs 40.
he gonna need 40. He's gonna need 40 or 45.
Game 3, he had 19 points.
Yep.
After that, 24, 30, 23. So like I said, after game 3, but he also has had turnover wise, the first game 7, second game 4, third game 3. His best game is 2 in game 4. He had 6 turnovers in game 5 and 8 turnovers last night.
Well,
He's a
and I'm
turnover
glad you
machine.
actually brought up the turnovers because both teams are turning the ball over like crazy. Cade is turning it over crazy. Harden's turning it over crazy. Mitchell's turning it over by just like looking to score and then all of a sudden bailing at the last second. He did that a couple times last night, just like acting like he's gonna score and dishing it. Nobody's there. So I mean, I think Game Seven is gonna be tight. It's gonna be exciting. I still think the Pistons win. And it's gonna be a grudge match, man. Like I think this is the one time they actually gonna let them play. But if
I hope
you
so.
let them play, Detroit is the more physical team. So we already know what that's gonna look like, especially in the fourth.
If a sore does not lock in mentally and fouls out with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter again, that's
But like
I know you didn't
there
need
were
it.
a
You didn't really
lot of
need it.
BS calls. Like
I know
Mobley
there
shows
was,
him,
but
he hits
but
him with
you
this. They
there's
say,
been BS calls. There's been BS
well,
calls all playoffs. So at this point, you got to be mentally prepared to be like, okay, do I need to be playing this tough defense when we're up by 13 and playing and I'm trying to cut through a screen through Jared Allen who locks my arm because that's the smart call on his play for then him to force his way out and then get the call on a sore. You know what I mean?
well,
So like
and
that's
I
where
agree with that. You had to be smart. You got to be smart. But I also think like
and he's young.
there have been a lot of bad calls, like you said. You do have to be smart. But I think for this game in particular, this is for all the marbles, man. Like Asar is going to be locked in on Mitchell. Like he gonna have to lock in on Mitchell and Harden when he's not on the floor, when Mitchell's not on the floor, because let's call it what it is. Harden is at his best when he gets that switch on Tobias Harris. That's
Mhm.
literally it's been all series, bro.
I don't
He
think Tobias
cannot guard
Harris.
him.
I don't think his hips can take it much anymore,
He
dude.
cannot guard him, bro. Like
Bro, he's gonna fall over again.
he,
Give that man a life alert. Jesus.
I get scared when I see the switch. I'm like, it's over. That's what I do, bro. I'll be like, he got him. Like he's looking for that switch each time. So as long as they don't let that happen, I think Pistons win in 7.
Agreed.
I thought it was interesting how you both said that Cade has to go nuclear. Like, he's got to put the team on his back. Because last night, there were 6 players that scored double digits: Cade, Duren, Jenkins, Paul Reed, Duncan Robinson, and Thompson. And Cade scored only 21, but together those 6 scored 92 points, just as much as the Cavs.
He's either going to have to go for 40, like 40 or 45, like Cassie said, or he's going to have to high double-double or triple-double it.
Because
it's going to run through him.
Yeah, because to Jared's point, the turnover battle has been the thing that's been kind of playing a lot of these series. Like, honestly, the Lakers, what buried them a lot more in the Thunder series was how many turnovers they were committing. Like, that's where, like, we talked slightly about it before, like off air, but like the Lakers could have been much closer in a lot of those games if they won the turnover battles and didn't turn over the ball as much as they did. Because they almost had to play perfect without Luka to beat, the Thunder in their capacity. So that's why I say, like, you had the bench out, and your support players come through in Game 6. Great. That means Cade didn't have to do as much. Let Cade go nuclear. This is Game 7. This is when your star player's time to shine. And if he's shooting 40, hopefully he's not having to pass the ball as much. So you're not committing turnovers, and you're not hurting the team. And the way you're helping the team is by scoring the ball. So,
yeah. And I'm also going to throw this out there. The Pistons, for the whole season, they've been the worst 3-point shooting team. Like, Cade was 50% from downtown. He shot 10 threes. Duncan Robinson was cooking. Sasser off the bench. I always forget about Sasser. Like, I'll be like, who is he? And then you got Jenkins, who hit 2 big threes in the fourth to put it away. So, like, as long as they're cooking, as long as they let Cade cook and everybody else comes along for the ride, it's Pistons in 7. Like, I still think it's going to be close. And if it's not close, that's because James Harden folded.
Which, speaking of turnovers and James Harden, James Harden had 23 points. He shot 16 for 13. He had 8 turnovers. So last game, he passed Shaq for the 3rd on the NBA's all-time playoff turnover leaderboard with 649. And that was his 31st career playoff game with more turnovers than field goals. And he's tied for the 4th most in the NBA. So, a little wild.
Cut the beard.
The beard is insane, bro. Chill out. Chill out.
When did he have his best playoff series? When he was with the Thunder. Did he have his beard?
Beard. Yes, he had a beard.
Much shorter. I didn't say cut the beard off. I said cut the beard. You know what I mean?
Listen, bro.
Trim it. Trim it up. Go back to your Thunder days.
Funny.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, I also thought it was interesting because Cassius, you sent us that picture, is history repeating itself. The 2006 East semifinals, number 1 seed Pistons versus the number 4 seed Cavs.
And that was Jared. Jared said that for his Pistons. Yeah, it was just Jared for Pistons.
Yeah, and this year, 2026, 20 years later, it is playing out the exact same way.
All right, so that concludes our show today for the NBA playoffs. Tune in for our next episode, as we unfortunately didn't have enough time to jump into our next episode, which will be the breakdown of the NFL schedule release. We're going to be focusing on the NFC North. So thanks for joining in, the best in the Midwest, and join us next time for another episode of Between the Coast.
See ya.